Let's see here. We have an inspirational reading, and it's from one of our pink books we call the Love Scriptures. They're from an anonymous group of sensitives called the Brotherhood of the Followers of the Present Jesus. And the present Jesus speaks through the dawning of the age of light. This is one of the books, and it's on page 17 and 18. And Jesus says, "Whom do you trust? Trust is a precious and subtle element. Above all, trust yourself, for without trusting yourself, how can you trust another? You do trust yourself and you do trust God, or you would not even pray. So build this trust. Trust may be a new concept to you. Trust can lift you to new heights of consciousness. If you put your faith in God, let God guide you. Let God take over your life. Let God lift you into an expression which is uniquely yours. Let pure trust lift and guide you to new levels of light, for light is God. This will open a new awareness of your oneness with God. So let God guide you. Let God lift you into expression. Trust God. Put your faith in God." Thank you, Jesus. And now someone who really gives us trust in God through her teaching and her speaking. She is the minister of the teaching of the Inner Christ. She's the pastor of the local International Center. She's the president of the corporation, and she has many hats. She's the leader of the outreach ministry, and she's also the leader of the prayer ministry, the World Healing Ministry. And so she is a beloved person here at the teaching of the Inner Christ. And today she is going to be speaking on letting go and letting love. Please welcome with me Reverend Marianne Kelley.
Thank you, Jennifer. Yeah, that was a nice introduction. Thank you, Jennifer. That was a nice introduction. Awesome. Thank you.
It was the truth.
It was the truth? Okay. Well, good morning.
Good morning.
How is everyone today?
Good.
Perfect and divine.
Perfect, spiritual, and divine, of course. Of course. Letting go and letting love. We've heard of letting go and letting God. But guess what? God is love. So when we're letting go, we're letting God and God's love go spread throughout our world. So, we can say, well, how do we let go when we experience things like trials and tribulations of our daily life? When the seeming negative events occur. You have negative things happening sometimes? Yeah. When seeing negative events that occur, if you're watching TV, boy, let me tell you, that is something. When the bank account seems to be not having exactly what we'd like to have in there, that can seem a little bit harsh. And then what about seeming disappointments? Or other people seem to interfere with what we want to do that's just doesn't feel good sometimes? Well, guess what? We want to know what love is. We have to know what it is before we can have it. So love begins with the premise that all things that happen in our life, all things that occur, first started in our own minds. So what we think is what we get. What we put out is what we get back. If we begin with that premise, what we hold in our minds is what we exude out, and that's what comes back to us. So that upon which we focus, what is it we're thinking about all the time? We're thinking about these things that we see on television? Are we thinking about a seeming lack in our bank account? Are we focusing on that? We're giving it a lot of attention? That our mind says, okay, that we want more of that. Our mind says that upon which you focus is what you're getting back. So we have to stop thinking about stuff. And And what do you think, when you talk to other people, what do you say about yourself?
Good
Oh.
things.
What was that?
Either good things or complain.
Yeah, well, let's look at let's, just for a second, and I'll give you a second on this, just a second or maybe 2 seconds. Is there something negative going on in your life? Or that you feel is negative going on in your life? I remember a time when I thought, gosh darn, that coffee table just seems to jump out and hit me. I put the blame on the coffee table and think that darn thing, maybe I need to get rid of it. And it's not the coffee table at all. It's my thought that coffee table can do something to me. Or anybody or anything else can do something to me. Not the way it works. It works this way. That which I think about is what comes to me. So I changed my thoughts about that coffee table when I learned that this was a thing. Mind over matter, they say. But I stopped thinking about that coffee table as something that kept, getting my knees, and started thinking, I am graceful. I am peaceful. I am poised. And I stopped knocking my knees on that coffee table. Now I can have coffee tables and not worry about that, because I know that I am graceful and peaceful and I'm poised. So this is what I mean by changing your mind about what's going on. The thing about it is this: if I've ever had a thing in my life, a tough lesson, so to speak, something going on that didn't feel right, didn't feel good, maybe just kind of broke my heart a little bit, maybe, I think. And then I stopped to think about that, and I think, wow, what if I changed my mind about that? Learning this stuff, Well, then I learned about something else in addition to that. When I'm in a seeming place where it's hard, I learned about spiritual mind treatment. That's a prayer form that we use here at the Teaching of the Inner Christ, where we know what we want to experience. And so we say, this is a prayer treatment for me, Mary Ann, to feel peaceful, poised. Peaceful and poised. Peace and poise in my life. And then I recognize that God is my source. God is peace. God is love. God is creative. I am one with all of that. I am one with peace and poise and grace. I am one with all the things that God is, because I was created in the image and likeness of God. And Jesus tells us, I and my Father are one. And of these things that I do, you will do even greater than I do. But we didn't believe him. But now, if we stop and we think about that, it comes to us. Yeah, that's what it's about. The God within us. It's right here. It is, I believe we were created by God, of God's substance, of stardust if you wish, whatever you want to call it. We were created of that, so that that consciousness could have something through which it could express. And the good news is, it created a lot of stuff like that through which it could express. Look at all the animals, all the people, all the diversity. The mountains, the oceans, the skies, the birds, everything was created by the divine intelligence so that it could express itself in different ways. And the interesting thing about that is it said everything was good and very good that it created. So everything is good and very good. Well, why is it that this doesn't feel very good, we say to ourselves? It's only a thought. God doesn't judge anything that's going on as good or bad. It just is, and everything is good and very good. Well, the good news about this, anytime I've felt something like that, I look back on it as I've gone through it, and look back on it, and realize behind every seeming adversity, there was a blessing. Something that I could not have experienced otherwise, because it was there, always there, but I didn't know how to express it, didn't know how to think about the thing that I wanted to express. The true desire. And what's the true desire? It's a desire that comes from the deep within well of our divinity, that place of consciousness. That's where it comes from. So then we come to what Job thought about that. You remember Job? God and the devil were arguing about things, and the devil says, "Well, I'm gonna make this righteous person negate you. Say not, we're not gonna have this. He will follow me. I will have him follow me, and that would be greater than you." And God said, "Have at it. I don't believe you. He's a righteous man. He will never condemn me." Well, and so the devil, it says, caused all kinds of things to happen to Job. And in his despair, he said, "That which I feared came upon me." That which I feared. So there's this thing about fear. What about fear? False evidence appearing real is not the truth. It never has been, and it never will be the truth about you. There is no fear. None. No fear whatsoever. So, in the end, God gave back to Job what he wanted and more. So when we say our prayers, we want to say this or something better, God, because I don't know the whole thing yet. If I knew the whole thing, I wouldn't be experiencing what I'm experiencing and have to let go of some things. So hear, O Israel, he says the Lord. And the Lord can be interpreted as the law of God, the law of Spirit, or it can be interpreted as the law, or the love. For what is God? God is love. And so, hear, O Israel, the Lord, the law of our God, the Lord is one, and we shall have, and shall you love the Lord, and you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and that means your essence, with all your mind, and with all your strength. This is the first commandment, and the second is like it. It's like this: you shall love your neighbor as yourself. There is no other commandment greater than these. And so this statement presupposes something. What do you think it presupposes? It presupposes that I do love myself. I do love myself. And if I love myself, then, and we learn from Luke 12, 23 and 24, do not fear, 32 and 34 through 34. Do not fear, little flock, for it's the Father's good pleasure to give to you the kingdom. Sell what you have and give alms, give to the poor. Provide yourself with a money bag. Get yourself a money bag, which will not grow old, and which will not it will survive any other. Nothing can cause it harm. It's there forever. Okay, which does not grow old, a treasure in the heavens that does not fail, where there is no thief approaches, nor moth destroys it. For where your treasure is, there your heart is also. What is our treasure? Our treasure is love. And that, my friends, is the essence of who and what we are. That's how we were created. We were created out of love, for love, and that's what it is. So the key here is to trust in Spirit. And that Spirit resides within us. It is a part of who we are. It is what we are. We're a spiritual being having a human experience. And it's all good, if we want to look at it that way. It is that Spirit that gives us in abundance whatever our heart's desires, our heart's true desires are, and whatever they may be. So, and then the next part is, for it is the Father's good pleasure to give to us the kingdom. It is the Father's good pleasure to give to us the kingdom. So where is love not? It's not outside of us. I'm here to tell you. It's not outside of us. It's not in our families. It's not with our friends. It's not with our lovers, not with our mate. This is why we become disillusioned sometimes in relationships. Because they're not able to read our minds and to know what it is we want inside. Well, we are all one. We are all individual as well. And they don't know what we need. And we haven't told them. But you know what? They should know. Wouldn't you think? No, they don't. So why is it that they can't love me the way I need them to love me? Because they don't know what that is. And we haven't told them. Because we don't know ourselves. And they can't possibly know. We are responsible for what happens in our lives. Every bit of it. And it is as a result of what it is upon which we focus. Focus on being that loving being that we are created to be. Focus on being that loving being that we are created to be. And then, well, in my own family, for instance, I grew up with 7 brothers and 1 sister, and we all had the same parents. And that's kind of interesting in this day and age, but that's the way it was in those days. And we have the same love, and we got the same nurturing, all of us. Pretty much, yeah. Now, each of us were individuals. And I had one sibling, I'm not going to say who it was, one sibling who didn't feel that, who felt that they were not loved as much, didn't get as much in the form of love, in the form of material things, as the rest of us. That was the feeling of that person. They really did feel that. And that was interesting. I thought, wow, that's not what I got at all. I got total love from my parents. I really did. But when we gather around at our family reunions these days, and our parents are gone now, when we stop and think about the different things, we all remember the events of our life. But it's interesting how each one of us remembers it a little bit differently. What is that about? It's about consciousness. We are all born with a different thing to accomplish in our life. Our sacred contract, if you will, as Carolyn Mace calls it, our sacred contract. We're going to be doing certain things in our life. We don't always know what that is to start with, but somewhere along the line, we find our calling. We find our calling. And the idea then, that's a true desire. And so we do this prayer treatment that we were talking about. Now let me tell you, let me ask you, sometimes we say, God, if you'll do this for me, I can do that. If you let me win the lottery, I can really spend a lot of money on your church. That's not the way it works. Because you see, we're not changing God's mind. Because God is not out there. God is in here. We're changing our own mind. And so that's what spiritual mind treatment is about. Treating our own mind so that we can understand that God is love, and it is the Father's good pleasure to give to us the kingdom. Whatever it is we truly desire is ours. And so we have to convince ourselves that we're worthy to accept it, that we are loving enough to accept, that we love ourselves enough to accept our true good. So, interesting, isn't it, how all of our siblings think the event was different than what we thought. So how can I get love? You can't. You have to be love. You have to be love. We have to let go and let love have its way with us. We do this through seeing through the eyes of love. Every person we see, no matter their station in life, every rock we see, every animal we see, everything we see in the world, see through the eyes of God. See through the eyes of love. For that's what God is. And these eyes that we're seeing, they have the ability to do that if we allow it. If that's our focus, love no matter what, because that's the point. And so, we honor our Father in meditation, where we take the time to relax, to go within and say, okay, dear inner one, dear God within, make your presence known to me. Help me to know that you and I are one, that you created me of yourself to do the things that you do and even greater. as Jesus told us. So guide us, dear inner Christ, dear inner love. Inspire us in our daily tasks. Protect us. Then we listen. We listen. And follow that guidance. Peter Meyer used to say, treat and move your feet. That means there's something we need to do. We can't just sit in our chair and treat all day long and expect things to happen if we're not willing to do it. Remember, we can only get what we're willing to give. If we want to get love, we need to give love. If we need people to help us, we need to help others. If we need money, we need to give money. Jesus told us, always gave the people he healed something to do. Take up your bed and walk. Wash your eyes in the pool. Every time he gave us something to do. So remember, there's our part on the physical level to do as well. If we want to get love, we have to give it to ourselves by giving it away. So, let go and let love have its precious way with us. Guide us, show us. So we talk about source, we talk about spirit, we talk about God, we talk about the love within. And feel it. That's the point. Feel that love that is already there. It's already there. Already there. Let me hear the truth in this event. Let me know there is love behind everything, and there's also a blessing. Everything holds a blessing. And so we say, thank you, wonderful God, within us. And so it is, and so we let it be, and let the people say, Amen. Thank you. It's all yours.
Thank you, Reverend Mary Ann.
I did have
Yay.
another page, never mind. Thank you.
Always inspiring, always chock full of wisdom and things that we can take with us, right? That's wonderful. And now, if you have found value in today's service, we invite you to assist in supporting the teaching of the inner Christ as you are led by visiting our website, teachingoftheinnerchrist.org, with your donation. And we trust completely what Jesus promised us in the Holy Bible, Luke 6:38. Give, and it will be given to you, good measure, pressed down, shaken together, running over, will be put in your lap. For with the measure that you use, it will be measured back to you. Thank you so much.